Okay, so now we're ready to continue on to our second example, which is example 4.2, which is found on page 78. We're really going to go through this very same process where we're going to draw the kinematic diagram in its home, or in this case, closed position. And then we're going to then go through the process of rotating and, finding the answer that they need for this problem. So let's peek over at page 78, where you're going to find example 4.2. So what we have here is it's a compound lever snips. So basically, if you've ever done any work like with tin snips, if you would, these are the types of scissors, industrial strength scissors, if you would, to cut thicker, heavier types of objects. Okay, so it says we have an illustration of that down here. And what they want us to do is they want us to use the top handle as the frame. Okay, so if you look closely, and I don't know if this is going to come across very well in the illustration here, but this part of the scissor, so the top, if you would, hole where you would probably put your thumb through, you'll notice is a continuous part, and then it also includes the bottom. I'm going to call that the jaw. This is going to be the frame member that's going to remain stationary. Okay. Then what we're going to do is we're going to move this bottom portion where you would have your fingers to open it. And we're going to find out how far this is going to open when we open the top jaw 15 degrees, which would be counterclockwise. Okay. So we want to find out, okay, if I want this open 15 degrees here, how far does that push this down? Which would be a very practical problem to really kind of say, okay, if I need that to be open in the end 15 degrees, if I figure out how far that this rotated, is that reasonable for, if you would, like an adult hand? Okay. So we are going to start by creating the kinematic diagram for this, or a kinematic diagram for this. But we're going to use the book as our guide since they kind of have the labels already set up. If we go over to page 79 on the top, this is the position. This is the kinematic diagram positioned exactly the way that we see it in the illustration. So this is going to be like our home position. Okay. So let's take a peek at, how they determine this. I'm going to start first with point A and point D. Those are our two frame positions. These are the two places where we have, connection that isn't going to be moving. So as we know, this top part of the snips is our frame. So point A is right here, and point D is directly across from it. Okay, so you'll notice that they're 2.3 inches apart. Okay, those are the two frame positions that are not going to move. Okay, now connected to D, you're going to notice that we're going to have, this is going to be, if you would, this little handle, this bottom handle, that's what I'm going to call it, is connected. So it goes from D up to C, down, if you would, a random distance, kind of just representing the extent of that, and then back. So you're going to notice that that is the triangle 4, okay, that we see there. So D up to C, down to the finger handles, and then back up to D, rotating around this point. Okay. The other link kind of going off of that from C that's connected straight down is going to be this link right here from C, and then they're calling that B. Okay. Now, B then is connected to the top jaw. Okay, so this is another piece. Now that jaw rotates around center point A and is connected to B. And then its position is out over here. So you're going to notice that when we look here, this triangle right here anchors or is attached to the frame here at A, goes down, connects to B, and then there's just a horizontal line going straight out to represent the closed position of that jaw. Okay, and then it comes back down here just to connect. So it's just a triangle for that jaw. Okay, so what I want you to do, I'm not going to like go step by step on AutoCAD. I'm going to draw it in the background here as well. But what I want you to do is duplicate what you see here. Okay, and we do have some dimensions. Okay, the dimensions that we have are the distances from A to D to B and C, which are directly above each other, okay? So those are those two dimensions there. And then from A going up to C, and then from A going down to B. The distance is out horizontally to the endpoint, for instance, point X here, okay? They don't have a distance, just kind of show a random length out, proportional. Same thing for when we look down here at what they're calling point Y. We don't have like how long that is, so just represent it out and to the left. So I am going to do that very same thing, and then we'll look at it together, okay? So I'm going to keep this up here and kind of go back and forth. But again, I'm going to create mine in AutoCAD here on the side. I'm not going to talk it through. I'll let you guys kind of do the same. Another minute or so to finish up if you are. How many people are still working on it? Yeah, might have been the last one. Okay, yep, take your time. Okay. Make sure you save it as your example 4-2. It's something I always, all of a sudden I'm down the road and I don't want to accidentally go over my start file. All right, are we ready to go to the next? How many are still working on? Oh, couple people yet. That's okay. All right. No worries. Okay, so now once we have our diagram all set with our link designations, which are the numbers with the circles around. So I've got number 1 as my frame, number 2 as that handle, number 3 as the connecting link, and then number 4 is going to be the top of that jaw. Okay. Now what we want to do is we want to rotate this jaw so that it opens up 15 degrees. Okay. And then we're going to, move the slave links, if you would, to their new positions. So kind of going back underneath here, what we're doing is right now we've drawn in this position, our handle is here, connecting link. And then this is that top jaw with the point X out at this position right here, okay? Now what we want to do is we want to take that top jaw and we're going to open it up 15 degrees. Even though the jaw is, if you would, the output. The question is, if I open that up 15 degrees, how wide or how much does our handle, our bottom handle displace so that we can see what that value is, okay? So we are going to start over on this end where point X is. So going back to AutoCAD, we want to take link number 4 and rotate it 15 degrees. So what we're going to do is we're going to use our rotate command. We're going to select the 3 points that make up that link, okay? And I'm going to hit enter. Then it wants to know our base position, which is going to be point A. That's going to be its center of rotation, all right? And now, don't put the angle in yet. You have to do C, enter, because we want to leave a copy behind. C, enter. And now this one, we are going to place at a 15-degree angle. So 1-5, because it's going counterclockwise, that's its new position. Okay, 15 degrees. If you want to double check it, and actually I'm going to put the angle in here. I'm going to do an angular dimension from here. Actually, let me do the right one. From here to here, either one, as long as it's the same. This is going to be our 15 degrees. And then I'm just going to move my X down a little bit here. And then I'll copy that X to be X prime. Okay, because that's its new position. And then it's 15 degrees that we moved it. And then I want to change these 3 lines to the object 1 dashed lines so that I can see that that's my new position. Okay. Now what we want to do is we want to add the other links. Okay, we want to add the other links. So the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to come down by B here. We want B then, it's got to rotate down into its new position. So we are going to, because that's the next connection, we are going to see here. B prime. Trying to think what the easiest way would be. I think what we're going to do is we are going to rotate it like we did the last one. Since this rotated around that point A and B is connected to it, or I guess it doesn't really matter. I'm trying to think what's the easiest way to do this. Okay, there's multiples, but we'll go back underneath here. So now that I know that my point A is here, I know that B has to be on the end of it, okay? It is going to rotate around A along that radius. So what we're going to do is we're going to add back to AutoCAD on our 0 layer, we're going to add a circle center radius, okay? And that's going to go from the center of A to the endpoint of where B is, okay? And we know that along there is how far that's going to be. Now, and then we have to find where the new point C is, okay? So if B is going to be down here, we know that the distance up to C, you know what? I did this last time. I should do it again. I'm going to copy my B, and this is going to be my B prime. So I want to put that in place right away so I know where that is. So from B prime, that's going to be my new center, and it is going to be the intersection, or it's going to be along this line right here. So I'm going to take a center radius from the center of B, and then the radius of C from B is going to be equal to, I need to know the length of this link right here, right? That's going to be 1.2 plus 1.5, or 2.7 is the radius. It's the radius, okay? And then I also know that C is located from D along that radius as well. So the radius from C to D is going to be this length, okay? Now, we don't know that length, but we know that C is only going to travel along that radius. So with my 0 layer on, I'm going to do the circle center radius from the center of D to where C is, okay? So now the intersection of, I'm going to get rid of this one. I didn't need this one. I thought I was going to use it, but I didn't. The intersection of the C to D, and from the center where B prime, that's where the new position of C prime is. So C prime is going to be right here. And I'm going to put a prime in back of it. There we go. And then what I need to do is going on my object 1 layer, the green dashed one, I'm going to grab a line from this intersection to B prime. See that? So that radius is still 2.7. So if I do an aligned dimension here from here to here, that's that 2.7, 1.2 plus 1.5, okay? The two places are from C, from D to C, this radius right here. So I did a circle center radius from the center of D to the center of C, okay? And then from B prime with a radius of 2.7. Is that helpful? Okay. Okay, so that's where my new C prime is. Now, if I create a line on the object 1 layer from C prime back to D, okay, that's its new position. So it rotated from its original right here to the dotted. So I want to get that number. So I'm going to go to my dimensions layer. I'm going to do an angle dimension, and I'm going to click on those two lines. Okay. Those two lines. And you should get 34 degrees. Now, I suspect we want this to be a little bit more accurate than just to the nearest degree, because we're going to rotate the other elements for link number 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to my dimension layer. So I'm going to have to go onto my annotate tab, down to where dimensions is, and to the right, there's that little downward arrow. This is where I can change my dimension styles and the dialog box comes up. Do you guys see that? Okay, vaguely familiar. What we want to do is we want to go to the modify, and we're going to go into our units, primary units tab, okay, which is in the middle. And then down here for angular dimensions in the bottom right-hand section, we're going to change it from 0 decimal places to, let's go to 4 decimal places. Okay, Dimension Style Manager is going to be on the Annotate tab. And in the Dimensions section, there's this little arrow going down and to the right. There you go. Modify. And then Primary Units, change the precision to 4 decimal places for angular dimensions. Okay. And then hit OK, set current, and close. And now you should get your dimension of 34 degrees to be 34.3633 degrees. You guys get that? Okay. That's the number we want to enter in to rotate link number 2. Okay. Now what I am going to do is get rid of a couple of these things here. I'm going to get rid of that 34 degrees for right now. Oh, shoots. What was that? I got to write it down. 34.3633 degrees. Okay, got it. So I just want to get rid of some of these things because it's hard to look at. I'm going to get rid of my 2 construction line circles. Okay. Now, I have already rotated the line from C to D, right? So I now want to go back to my home, and I'm going to rotate the line from C to Y and the line from Y to D. Those are the only 2 that I want to rotate. Okay. Now they're going to rotate. They have a fixed center at D. So after I have those 2 selected, I'm going to hit enter. And my base position is going to be the center of D because that's where it's going to rotate around. Now, before I put in my angle, I'm going to hit C for enter so that I copy. Okay. And now this is going in a counterclockwise direction, right? So it's a positive value. And my angle is going to be 34.3633 degrees. Enter. So now notice that it added. Okay. So then these 2 lines that I just copied, I want to put those on the object 1 layer. Okay. Is that helpful? You guys see that? All right. So notice that we started at the 15 degrees where the problem said we're gonna open those snips up 15 degrees. Now what happens to everything else? Now this is where my handle ended up. So now I need to label this Y prime, right? So I'm going to copy my Y down to its new position, and we're going to call it Y prime. Now, oopsie. Yeah, that's fine. Now what I want to do is I want to dimension the resulting angle. We know it to be 34.3, but what we want to do is we want to dimension it where Y is out here. So we're going to be on the dimension layer, angular dimension. I'm going to go from this line to this line, and that should be that 34.363. Okay. Aiden.
Maybe we'll have to look at separates, but I got 39.6.
Did you go to the same 2 lines?
Oh, sorry, for the CNC plan.
Then you might not have rotated it quite right because the final answer is 34. Yeah, so from here to here, it should be the 34.36. If you didn't get that, then something's not set up quite right. And we can look at that individually. But your final answer for how far that opens up is 34.3633. If we go underneath our screen and we look at their final result, They got 34.4. Make sure you're measuring from the same point on link number, whatever link number that was, 2, to the new 2 prime, if you would. Okay. All right. So that then would be the final diagram. We can get rid of anything that we didn't use. Okay. And then this would be your screenshot showing the 15 degrees and then the resulting 34.36 in this case. So we would do our Windows Shift S. We would window around, and then we would go back to our Word document, label this example 4.2, and then put our diagram, and then you would add the mobility calculation, whether it's below it or on AutoCAD, you would add that. Okay. Besides that process, if there's individual questions, I'll stop the recording and I'll answer those. But is there any questions on adding this as our second example at the moment? Okay. Okay, so I'm going to do a quick file save. And then I will stop this recording with this example.